This is live from New Delhi. You're watching DT India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Sakal Bhatt, and coming up in the next 30 minutes. Relief for Ukraine as US President Trump talks peace, appreciates President Zelensky's willingness to sign minerals deal with America. Canada lodges complaint with the World Trade Organization against the United States over President Trump's unjustified tariff hike. In a snub to President Trump, Greenland's Prime Minister Mute Egder declares Greenlanders do not wish to be either Danish or Americans. In a post-budget webinar, Prime Minister Narendra Modi says India has given people, economy and innovation same priority as infrastructure and industries in investment. And we begin with US President Donald Trump's first address to the joint session of Congress on Tuesday. Remember, this being the longest ever speech and first after taking over the office, clocking in at more than 1 hour and 40 minutes, something that grabbed global eyeballs. President Trump, though, softened his tone apparently on President Zelenskyy, but he repeated his position and his threat to take over Greenland and much more. Here's more.
America is back.
With these words, US President Donald Trump began his first address to a joint session of Congress after taking office. He didn't stop there. He vowed to plant the American flag on Mars.
We are going to conquer the vast frontiers of science, and we are going to lead humanity into space and plant the American flag on the planet Mars and even far beyond.
Much like his 2024 campaign, Trump used Tuesday's speech to talk about securing the US-Mexico border and the executive orders he issued, including deploying military members to the area.
I declared a national emergency on our southern border, and I deployed the US military and border patrol to repel the invasion of our country. And what a job they've done. As a result, illegal border crossings last month were by far the lowest ever recorded, ever.
He even extended the offer of joining the US to the citizens of Greenland and said, one way or the other, we're going to get it. As time and again, he promised to take over Greenland and the Panama Canal.
Great job. And I also have a message tonight for the incredible people of Greenland. We strongly support your right to determine your own future. And if you choose, we welcome you into the United States of America. We need Greenland for national security and even international security, and we're working with everybody involved to try and get it. But we need it really for international world security.
Trump also announced his plans to implement reciprocal tariffs in the near future on several countries. The US will raise its tariff rate for goods from another country to whatever that country's levies on US products from April 2nd. Appreciating Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy, Trump said he received a letter from Zelenskyy agreeing to come to the negotiating table to strike a peace deal in Ukraine.
I received an important letter from President Zelenskyy of Ukraine. The letter reads, Ukraine is ready to come to the negotiating table as soon as possible to bring lasting peace closer. Nobody wants peace more than the Ukrainians, he said. My team and I stand ready to work under President Trump's strong leadership to get a peace that lasts. We do really value how much America has done to help Ukraine maintain its sovereignty and independence. Regarding the agreement on minerals and security, Ukraine is ready to sign it at any time that is convenient for you.
In all, US President Donald Trump's address to Congress was a characteristic blend of triumphalism, policy pronouncements, and cultural warfare. Bureau Report, DD India.
Meanwhile, Denmark's foreign minister has sharply reacted to President Trump's overtures on Greenland, stressing that it was a positive development that the US president acknowledged the island's right to self-determination. Rasmussen said Denmark and Greenland had a common interest with US with regards to security in the Arctic region, while Denmark Defense Minister has dismissed US President Trump's vow to take over Greenland one way or the other in a speech to the Congress.
First of all, I would like to draw the attention to the fact that he said we respect the Greenlandic right to self-determination, and that, I think, was the most important part of that speech. And I am very optimistic about what will be a Greenlandic decision about this. They want to loosen their ties to Denmark. We are working on that to have a more equal relationship.
Reacting to Trump's remarks on his interest in taking over the Greenland, Prime Minister Mette Egder said that Greenlanders do not wish to be either Americans or Danish, emphasizing the desire to determine their own future. And in response to US President Donald Trump's move of imposing 25% tariff on imports from its territories, Canada has filed a complaint with the World Trade Organization against the United States over President Trump's dramatic tariff increase. Well, the move has clearly not gone well with the Canadian administration. Taking to social media, Canadian ambassador to the WTO, Nadia Theodore, appealed for WTO consultations with the US government with regard to the US tariffs that Canada calls unjustified. Theodore added that the United States' decision left Canada with no choice. In fact, a WTO official has confirmed that Canada initiated dispute proceedings against the United States at the WTO on the traditional tariffs. And shortly after the tariffs of Canadian goods took effect, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has accused President Trump of trying to cause the collapse of the Canada's economy to make it easier for the US to annex his country. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy is scrambling to repair relationship with US after a tense meeting with President Donald Trump last week. The Ukrainian leader called the clash regrettable on social media. He further added that meeting in Washington at the White House on Friday did not go to the way it was supposed to be. President Zelenskyy also expressed his willingness to sign a contentious minerals deal which would grant the United States access to Ukrainian minerals in exchange for military aid. Meanwhile, Russia has expressed a positive stance on Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's openness to negotiations over the ongoing conflict. However, the Kremlin remains uncertain about how such talks could proceed given Kyiv's legal restrictions on engaging with Moscow. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov pointed out that Ukraine still has a legal ban on negotiations with Russia. The restriction stems from a 2022 decree by Zelenskyy, which explicitly rules out talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin.
It is positive. The question is who to negotiate with. As of now, the Ukrainian president is still legally prohibited from negotiating with the Russian side. Therefore, the overall approach is positive, but the nuances have not changed yet.
Belarus President Alexander Lukashenko has offered to host peace talks between Russia and Ukraine, suggesting that US officials could also be involved. His remarks came in an interview on Wednesday. Lukashenko emphasized the need for negotiations, proposing Belarus as a neutral venue. He highlighted the proximity of Kyiv to the Belarusian border, stressing that discussions could take place quickly and efficiently.
We need to negotiate. If you want, come here. It's not far. 200 kilometers from the Belarusian border to Kyiv, maybe 500 kilometers, half an hour by plane. Come, we'll sit here. Calmly, without noise, without shouting, we'll reach an agreement. Therefore, tell Trump I'm waiting for him along with Putin and Zelenskyy. We'll sit down and calmly negotiate if you want to reach an agreement.
Leaders of Germany's conservatives and social democrats, who are in negotiations to form a coalition after a national election last month, announced proposals on Tuesday to set up a €500 billion fund for infrastructure and defence spending. Addressing a press conference, leader of the Christian Democratic Union, Friedrich Merz, said that both parties would submit a motion to the Bundestag lower house of parliament next week to amend the constitution. The motion aims that defence expenditure above 1% of the economic output is exempted from the debt brake. The move comes after US President Trump had frozen military aid to Ukraine after a clash with its President Volodymyr Zelenskyy last week.
Deshalb wollen wir ein kreditfinanziertes sofort.
That is why we want to set up a credit-financed emergency program, a special fund of €500 billion for the next 10 years, from which these necessary investments will be made. We assume that this special fund will also trigger private investment on a large scale.
Staying with Germany, 2 people have been killed, several others injured after a man drove his vehicle into a crowd in the western city of Mannheim on Monday. Remember, this is not an isolated incident, but the third car ramming incident in recent months in Germany, after one each in Magdeburg and Munich. The driver has been detained by the police. Authorities say he may have been psychologically unwell and did not appear to be politically or religiously motivated. Prosecutors have initiated investigative proceedings against the suspect, who is a 40-year-old German man from the neighboring state of Rhineland-Palatinate. For more on the story, we have with us DW's Thomas Sparrow joining us live from Berlin. Thomas, what more are authorities saying about the suspect? But most importantly, how are they planning to prevent these kinds of incidents? If you could also put in perspective, we see a pattern to such incidents. How are authorities explaining that?
I do not necessarily think that it is a pattern. You have indeed seen in Germany several similar incidents, but each of the 3 car rammings that you mentioned in your introduction, in Magdeburg, in Munich and in Mannheim, have had different motivations. In Magdeburg, it was carried out by a Saudi man based on anti-Muslim views. In Munich, it was an Afghan asylum seeker which authorities suspect acted based on an Islamist motivation, and in Mannheim authorities are not, they do not think that it was political or extremist in nature, but are rather focusing on the man's mental health. So the 3 different car rammings have very specific motivations. What they do have in common is that they are heightening the sense of insecurity among many people in Germany, and they have obviously become a very significant part of the political debate in the country. The motivation remains the most important element in the investigation, specifically if we talk about the case in Mannheim, because it's the motivation that will determine also the political reactions, both at a regional level and then obviously here in Berlin at a federal level. So the fact that authorities are focusing specifically on a mental health issue will probably determine also what kind of measures will be implemented in the next few days, in the next few weeks, to try and secure as much as possible German cities from these kinds of car rammings.
Yeah. When I say pattern, I mean the recurrence. We get to see such incidents back to back, although not very common in Germany at all. But these 3 incidents were not isolated. Having said that, Thomas, can you just explain us the impact that these incidents are having on the Germans and on the German authorities? What's the situation on ground?
Well, the situation is one of concern, specifically because these are not the only security incidents that Germany has witnessed in recent months. There were also 2 knife stabbings recently, including one here in Berlin. And this has basically put the issue of security at the top of the political agenda. There are many other issues, obviously, that political leaders are discussing. You mentioned in your introduction as well the financial issue and the coalition agreements between different parties. But part of these discussions is also how to make sure that they can make German cities more secure.
Right.
Authorities have stressed that it's impossible for them to make cities 100% secure and that they do not intend to turn German cities into fortresses. But at the same time, they are considering increasing, for example, police police presence in public spaces, especially when a lot of people are said to be out and about. It's carnival season now in Germany, so indeed a lot of people are out and about. Also looking, for example, at increased surveillance, a very challenging topic in Germany because of privacy concerns, and also looking at prevention. So these are three of the reasons why authorities are now looking into in order to make sure that as much as possible they can prevent these incidents from happening again.
All right, we'll leave it there. Many thanks, Thomas Parr, for joining us live on That Big Story from Berlin. Thank you. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Coming up next on the other side, we get you the report on how Australia braces for the tropical cyclone Alfred's big landfall. And it's carnival fever in Netherlands. Colourful parades, extravagant costumes and a whole lot of celebration. All that in Netherlands. On the other side, we get you more.
This week on Defense Dynamics, the geopolitics in Europe is undergoing a major shift after the Trump-Zelenskyy clash. How will this affect the continent's security and alliances? As Europe rethinks its defense posture, India-EU relations take a center stage. What does this growing partnership mean for global security? Meanwhile, the Indian Air Force faces a critical fighter jet shortage. The Indian Air Force chief warns of a serious gap in Scotland. How can India build up this deficiency? And in a bold move, Bharat Forge claims that it can handle India's artillery needs. Is the private sector ready to replace foreign imports like that the K9 Vajra? Tune in this Wednesday at 8 p.m. IST only on DD India.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Sakal Bhatt. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Wednesday participated in the post-budget webinar on employment via video conferencing. While addressing the gathering on the occasion, Prime Minister Modi said the government has provided skill training to more than 3 crore youth since 2014.
जन भागीदारी का ये मॉडल बहुत रेयर होता है और मुझे खुशी है कि लगातार प्रतिवर्ष इस एक मंथन के कार्यक्रम को बल भी मिल रहा है, उत्साह से लोग भी जुड़ रहे हैं और हर एक को लगता है कि बजट के पूर्व जितनी बातें हम करते हैं उससे ज्यादा महत्वपूर्ण बातें बजट के बाद इंप्लीमेंटेशन में उपयोगी होती हैं.
To boost India's artificial intelligence, Prime Minister Modi said the Indian government has announced plans to develop its own large language model.
भारत एआई की क्षमताओं को विकसित करने के लिए नेशनल लार्ज लैंग्वेज मॉडल की स्थापना भी करेगा. इस दिशा में हमारे प्राइवेट सेक्टर को भी दुनिया से एक कदम आगे रहने की जरूरत है. एक रिलायबल, सेफ और डेमोक्रेटिक देश जो एआई में इकोनॉमिकल सॉल्यूशंस दे सके, विश्व को उसका इंतजार है. आप इस सेक्टर में अभी जितना इन्वेस्ट करेंगे, भविष्य में उतना ही एडवांटेज आपको मिलेगा.
India's Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, or CCEA, has approved development of a 12.9 kilometer long ropeway project from Sonprayag to Kedarnath in hilly state of Uttarakhand. The ropeway project will be a boon to the pilgrims visiting Kedarnath, as it would reduce travel time in one direction from about 8 to 9 hours to about 36 minutes. The CCEA also approved development of 12.4 kilometer long ropeway project from Govind Ghat to Hemkund Sahib Ji in Uttarakhand as well.
चार धाम में बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण धाम है केदारनाथ धाम. यहाँ एक 12.9 किलोमीटर का रोपवे बनाने का आज फैसला लिया गया है. करीब 4,081 करोड़ 4,081 करोड़ रुपीस का ये प्रोजेक्ट होगा, जो बड़ा फायदा होगा वो ये होगा कि जो आज 8 से 9 घंटे की जर्नी है वो 36 मिनट्स की जर्नी हो जाएगी। दूसरा प्रोजेक्ट इसी कड़ी में है हेमकुंड साहिब का रोपवे। हेमकुंड साहिब की जो बहुत बड़ी एक महत्वपूर्ण स्थान है हमारी संस्कृति में, ऐसा केदारनाथ जी में लगता है कि बहुत लोगों को जाने में सुविधा होगी, यहाँ पर हेमकुंड साहिब में भी जाने को लोगों को बहुत सुविधा होगी।
The Niti Ayog's Frontier Tech Hub, in collaboration with Data Security Council of India, has released a strategic paper on the rapid evolution of quantum computing for national security and strategic preparedness. The paper suggests that the government needs to form a task force to monitor global quantum technology, and recommendations on the use of frontier technology in national security and citizen-centric governance has also been suggested. The insights of the paper will serve as a foundation for India's strategic preparedness and policy formulation in the evolving quantum landscape. It states the technology has the potential to increase the country's growth rate by 2 to 3%. BVR Subramaniam, CEO of the Niti Ayog, spoke further on the strategic paper and how it plays an important role towards making India a developed nation, or Viksit Bharat, by 2047.
The Prime Minister has laid out an ambitious goal to make India Viksit Bharat, which is by 2047 we should be a $30 trillion nation. And I think everybody in government is working hard, converging towards that particular goal. How I see the entire Frontier Tech Hub's work fitting into both Niti's work and the nation's ambitions to become Viksit Bharat.
In Bangladesh, retired Professor Chaudhry Rafiqul Abrar took oath as an advisor on Wednesday, expanding the advisory council of the interim government. President Mohammad Shahabuddin administered the oath to the new advisor. He has been given charge of the Education Ministry, and with this, the number of advisors in the Bangladesh interim government stands at 23. Sheikh Moinuddin and Faiz Ahmed Tayyib have been appointed as a special assistants to Chief Advisor Dr. Muhammad Yunus. The Cabinet Division issued a notification on Wednesday stating that the Chief Advisor has appointed them as a special assistants with the rank of State Minister. In news from neighbouring Pakistan, the death toll in the suicide bombing attack has reached to 18, including 6 children and 5 soldiers, after suicide bombers rammed explosive-laden vehicles in a security installation in Pakistan's Bannu district on Tuesday. The blast that happened in the evening after people had broken their Ramadan fast brought down the roof of the nearby mosque, which trapped and injured at least 30 others. Search and rescue operations were still underway for any survivor left. So far, no terrorist group has claimed responsibility for this deadly blast. Let's now take a look at other stories making news around the world. We begin with Australia, where Australians are bracing up for a rare East Coast tropical cyclone Alfred with sandbag placements and store closures. Storm warnings have been put in place for over 311 miles across the coast in the state of Queensland and New South Wales. Cyclone Alfred is expected to make a landfall as a Category 2 storm early on Friday morning near Brisbane. Rain and snow brought some relief to northern Japan, battling its worst wildfire in a region hit by record low rainfall. The blaze around the northern city of Ufanato in Iwate region has raged for more than a week, killing one person, prompting evacuation of more than 4,000 residents. A tornado stuck in Oklahoma's Hugo City of U.S. on Tuesday, blowing away the roof of a clinic in its path. According to the National Weather Service, the tornado that lasted for nearly 4 minutes reached peak winds of 100 to 105 meters per hour and remained on the ground for 3.7 miles. Well, colourful parades, extravagant costumes and a whole lot of celebration for a period of 4 days, Carnival has taken over the south of Netherlands, and this vibrant festival marks the last big party before the fasting period begins. And from music-filled streets to lively traditions, we take you inside the Dutch Carnival. Reporting from Netherlands, here is Mark Limburg with more on this festive event.
Carnival in the Netherlands is a vibrant, centuries-old tradition. Every year, cities like Maastricht and Den Bosch explode with color, music and parades as people in costumes celebrate. More than just a party, Carnival is a cultural event filled with satire, community spirit and festive chaos. Let's take you inside this unique celebration.
Everyone is equal, no matter what your social status is.
Being together, family feeling with friends.
We all are equal, we all make music, everyone lives up to this moment.
It is a celebration where everyone is equal, no matter their background, job or social status. People wear costumes that hide who they are, creating a sense of unity. Rich or poor, young or old, everyone joins the fun together. The festival is about laughter, music and enjoyment, bringing communities together without barriers.
Just for a moment, we forget everything that's happening around us. That's what this is about.
Carnival 2025 is more than just a grand parade. In the next few days, the city buzzes with vibrant events. Throughout local pubs and eateries, there will be live music and themed gatherings, ensuring every corner of the city pulses with carnival spirit.
It's about solidarity, together with respect for each other. Everything together. That's what it is about.
Mark Limburg reporting from Den Bosch, the Netherlands.
Well, that's all we have for you in this edition of DT India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DT India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DT India. I'm Sakal Bhatt, and from all of us here in my Delhi team, thanks for watching DT India Live.